Hello, everyone, and you are very welcome again to this week's Business Block, where my guest is Sharon Dmake. And she is very, very, very prominent in the media at the moment. She has a wonderful website, sharond.com, and you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be on your show. I've been watching it and I'm on. Yay!
You're on. Well, I'm delighted to have you on because as I was saying to you off air, you know, you're very much my kind of woman because you represent that cohort of women who have done an awful lot in their lives. They haven't really stood still. They've done a lot. They're now looking at self-care. And you seem to have drawn all those threads together. You've got so many things you're trained in, but you've brought it in under one umbrella now. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started and how you've managed to successfully draw all those different threads together?
Thank you. Yes, Miriam, unfortunately, like everyone, I started out of need and out of hitting rock bottom. So I'm a woman that people would have looked at. As you said, I do all sorts of things, and I'm like a butterfly, you know, this business, set this up, okay, sell that on, do this business, let's set that up, move on. I get itchy feet very quick, or I did. But, say around 2016, we'll go there. I had won the first ever Miss Curves Island. I had 7 children at the time, and I just thought I would never win it. I was in my 40s, call it midlife crisis if you like, going against 18-year-olds and all the rest of it. That year I did a triathlon. I did so many things, radio presenter, award-winning hair and makeup artist. My work was on all 4 channels in Ireland at the time.
Yes.
I was, from Dublin to Galway to London. I was a plus-size model as well. I was modeling. I was doing all these things, and people look at me and say, "You're Wonder Woman. You're amazing. All these children, you've got it all." And I kind of believed them. I thought I was some kind of superhero. But what happened was my cape got taken off and folded and left on the couch next to me because I ended up with burnout. Something that I thought couldn't happen to me, right? Sharon D, superwoman, strong, didn't have time for things like meditation or self-love. That was all just for people that didn't have to make money because maybe they had enough, It wasn't for me. But my God, I burnt out. When I mean burnt out, I don't mean I was feeling a little bit stressed. I couldn't even talk to my own family.
Yes.
So this superhero had to dust herself off and realize that my story of just sitting on the couch doing nothing was not going to be my story. Even though it had been for nearly 3 months, I was in pain. Really bad pain that I felt like I should go to A&E because surely I'd broken something, but I knew I hadn't because I hadn't moved. My brain couldn't function. I had this cloud of fog. I couldn't remember words. I couldn't string together a sentence. And for somebody that's quite articulate, that was quite serious. And I couldn't even hug my kids because when they were touching me, it was sore. And that's how I ended up. I decided, look, I went to the doctors, and the doctors said, I'll put you on antidepressants and this and that. And I don't know, something about that word. And I mean, I'm all for people looking after their mental health. Absolutely. And if you need antidepressants, take them, get them, prescribe them, get expert advice. But for me, that word triggered me to, no, this is not my story. This is not me. From that, I mean, bear in mind, I'd not too long ago done a triathlon, but I couldn't even walk to my garden gate. But that was my first post. Walk as far as your garden gate. And I didn't make it every day. I can promise you that. I did not make it every day.
God.
Yeah, that's where I was. But I pushed myself and I started realizing I have to take care of myself. Yes. I am useless to everyone else. Miriam, I hit such a low in my life. I had never, ever, ever thought of suicide or anything like that. 3 times during that period. I wanted to end my life. That's how serious it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I said, okay, let's evaluate. Why did this happen? How can I stop this happening again? And how do I get back? And after those, how can I make sure not another person has to go through what I went through?
Yes.
That was my motivation.
Yeah.
So I started by looking at self-love, all these foo-foo things that I had seen before that I had no time for. I suddenly realized how desperately I needed it. I also had to work out that the reason I was doing all these things was because I was trying to please other people.
Yes.
I wasn't
Yes.
doing it for me. I wasn't trying to do what I wanted to do. I was trying to do what I thought you wanted me to do.
Yes.
I was trying to be your hero.
Yes.
And, you know, it didn't work. I'd had imposter syndrome my whole life. As a child, I felt I never fitted in.
Yes.
And I've just been trying to wear, you know, people say you wear different hats, you do so many things. No, I was wearing different masks. I didn't know who I was.
Very good point. Oh my gosh. Very good point.
Yeah. So I decided, okay, what do I like to do? Who am I? What do I like to do? I started painting. Actually, I just moved the camera there. I don't know, can you see one of my pieces up there? But I started painting. Sorry, guys, for the little motion sickness there. I started painting. I started spending time on myself with what I like to do. I started expressing gratitude. I started keeping a journal to say how grateful I was for the smallest things that I would have thought, oh, insignificant before. I started appreciating things. My inspiration to get out of bed in the morning was to watch the sunrise. I just love sunrises. It makes me feel so great, and then I can start my day. And only by taking care of myself, you know, it's been a journey. But only by taking care of myself, then could I give back to my family and be an honest person. It didn't matter if you didn't like me, if it, you know, I wasn't trying to fit in with you anymore. What I was trying to do is just be myself. And what it actually happened was I drew people towards me who were a good fit. So the people that weren't a good fit soon lost interest, and that was fine, because not everyone is for everyone. But what happened was the people that worked for me ended up coming into my life.
I see. So in fact, you drew new work colleagues, not just new friends, not just, it affected everywhere.
Absolutely every part, because I started being authentic, and like this word's so overused. Every clubhouse room you're in, everywhere you are, everyone's talking about authentic.
Authentic.
But I truly, what you see from me is what you get. That is it. There's no more BS. And you know, that takes a lot of energy, trying to pretend that you're someone and fit in and, you know, whatever. I don't consider myself as a hardcore businesswoman that went to business school and learned. I never went to business school. I went more creative sides of things that I did, but I never went to business school. But I didn't have to, because do you know, if I don't know something now, I don't pretend that I know it. I'm just like, oh, can you explain that to me? I don't know.
Exactly.
And people will explain it to you.
Yes.
When you're authentic, people value you because you value yourself. And that's huge. So then I was approached for, well, I actually entered into co-author a book about self-love called Love Thy Body. And I was picked to co-author the book, and we did that, and it became a bestseller on Kindle and on paperback on Amazon. It was absolutely amazing. But from that, I started getting people, especially during lockdown, looking for me to do speaking events. So I did. I Zoomed all around the world at all kinds of different hours.
Yes.
The time zones and all the rest.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. It's awful.
Yeah. And then I started getting a few coaching clients. And that's how I went into the whole self-love group and side of things. And we brought out a bit of positive clothing during the second lockdown there that went well with positive quotes. And the other thing that I've done, which I was doing before this, was I run an event called Islands Got Curves. So they're my two babies now, is the self-love and Islands Got Curves. Yeah, that's it there. And Islands Got Curves is Ireland's curvy convention. It's annually, except for, of course, 2020, we didn't have one, and 2021, but it started in 2017. So it's a curvy convention celebrating all sizes, but we have on the catwalk from size 12 to size 36. And yeah, it just celebrates the beauty and all, you know.
It does. I'd like to just share that on my screen, if I may, just for a moment. So I love this particular quote that you have here. You don't have to fit in when you are born to stand out. I just love that. It's so good.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah.
Just go to the homepage for a moment. This is a really wonderful website. It wasn't the one I was first going to go to. I was going to introduce it later on, but I'm so glad you've gone to it, because it really, you're more about this right now, aren't you? This is your focus.
I think, yeah, it's about self-love, and it's also about worthiness. Now, I mean, I've been on radio shows debating, am I promoting obesity? Am I doing this or that? But no, do you know what? When you start feeling good about yourself and not feeling miserable because you don't fit into what society says you should, when you start celebrating yourself, then you start taking better care of yourself. And I think that's where we need to start with. Dieting doesn't work. It does not work. It leads to yo-yos. It leads to all sorts of things. But looking good, feeling good, and being good leads you to want to be better.
And do you find that once you wrap your brain around that and you start accepting yourself, your body almost automatically starts to become healthier?
Absolutely. I mean, this year I don't like the word loss, because it's not a loss. I've shedded, or whatever you want to say, 3 stone. And I haven't dieted once. I haven't tried to lose weight once in that time. It's the first time that I've stopped trying to lose weight that I've actually lost weight. It's all to do with mindset. You know, if you're in your mind, you are going to be 15 stone. No matter how much weight you lose, you're going to go right back to being 15 stone, because the story in your mind is that you're 15 stone. If you look at the beautiful models on television, and they're all very thin and nice looking, and they're beautiful, stunning girls, but if you feel like you're never going to be them, or you don't, you know, that their clothes don't fit you, you don't fit in with them. I've done it myself. You watch it with a cup of tea and a packet of biscuits, because you want to cheer yourself up, because you just don't feel worthy enough, you know. So yeah, definitely Islands Got Curves. I mean, it's more than just about weight, though. It's about, you know, just empowering women, letting women know, don't let anything hold you back. So many women haven't gone for job interviews. They haven't taken their children to the swimming pool. They're held back from doing stuff in life, and it's about, no, don't wait. Don't wait for weight.
Absolutely agree with you. Don't wait, and also keep that network close. You've got this. You've got a podcast that you do. It's a show on. Does this run on Instagram called The Plus Side? On The Plus Side.
So on The Plus Side, actually, I need to update that. During lockdown, I found that we were just getting snowed under. There was lots of videos and everything going on, so we took a little break. But I think there's over 2 years, there's over about 100 videos there, and they're up on YouTube. So Islands Got Curves on YouTube. You can catch all the replays there.
Do have a look at this, folks. They're really good. I've seen a couple of the shows in the last couple of days while I was preparing for this, and I just loved them. You do such a wonderful job. You're such a born natural.
I think I'm natural because I don't try, and that's the main thing, isn't it? Don't get so anxious and hecked up.
It's a very important point that you've made there. You know, we perhaps invest too much. We feel duty bound to do it. I'm sure, because, you know, you have 7 children as well. You must have felt the pressure to be there, be ready, you know, be available. It's just very difficult to center back on yourself again and say, look, I'm not able for that. I'm not able for that. I can only give the best to my children, to my job. if I'm true to myself. It sounds so simple and it isn't easy to do. And as you said, sometimes it takes your body to just pull the plug on you.
Yeah, absolutely. But when I hear my children now. So during lockdown, I did my Sunday morning yoga with Pauline Rodich on Zoom. And the kids are like, even the kids were like, oh, it's Sunday morning. Which room are you doing your yoga in? And one or two of them joined in with me, and one joined in with me just to keep me company, because she found it was great time to spend with me doing that. And after it, people will be like, my kids will be like, oh, great, you've your yoga. Oh, you'll be in a great mood after that. And I'm like, am I normally not in a great mood? They're like, no, but after yoga, you're buzzing, Or another one of my children the other day was saying, I was going to meet someone, and they said, oh, that's brilliant. I said, why? And they said, oh, because it makes you happy. And they've recognized a happier mom when she's actually doing things she wants as well. And they've actually learned that they need to have me time. They need to celebrate their wins. They need to do things on their terms as well. And I suppose the first thing is, in Ireland especially, I found as soon as you say, like in America, they're all about self-love, all about it. But in Ireland, I find people saying, oh, isn't that selfish? And isn't that, but it's actually not. To not practice self-love is the most selfish thing you can do.
Yes, unfortunately, it does go back to our indoctrination as kids, from a religious point of view, and that's very, very sad. It was very, very wrong. And you're quite right in what you're saying, because I have another show called Writer's Block. And on Writer's Block, I'm interviewing mainly actors and writers from LA. And one of the things that they say, practically all of them, from George Shakira's through to Ruta Lee to all these different people, they all say the same thing. Richard Chamberlain said the same thing. They didn't plan. They were prepared and they were ready, but they know that a lot of luck came their way, but they actually just lived from day to day doing the job that they were passionate about, that was truly them, doing it well. And after that, it was luck.
Yeah.
It was luck.
And I think
they drew that luck to them.
Was it Oprah Winfrey that said,
but creative people seem to be far more in tune with that.
I think it was Oprah Winfrey years ago. I heard that luck is, I think she said something like, luck is opportunity meeting preparation.
Yes. Yes.
And I just thought, wow, that makes perfect sense. That's the way to, because people say to me, especially I have 7 kids, okay, and I have 4 grandchildren, and some people look at me and say, oh, but you're so lucky. And I'm like, I am lucky to be blessed to be able to have children, but I put the work in, I didn't just have them come along, or they say about, geez, you're lucky with Ireland's Got Curves, it's a great event. And I say, yeah, but I had to work hard to get this lucky,
So talk to us a little bit more about the events and that Ireland's Got Curves is involved with, just where you are at the moment and where you're going into 2022.
Yeah, so we have a date booked for 2022. It seems really weird to say that, but it's such a relief. So the 4th of April, Sunday the 4th of April, we will be in near Lucan, near Dublin. I forget the postcode. Westmanstown Conference Centre is where we'll be. So on that, it will be catwalks from bridal, probably lingerie, probably vintage, following from the past. We haven't actually confirmed everyone yet. Pop-up stands. So if there are anyone with business that want to reach women, basically, it's more of a woman's event than men. We do have the odd brave soul come along. But, anyone that wants to come along as a business, they're only to welcome. We'll have demonstrations, we'll have guest speakers, motivational speakers. There's awards for businesses that have treated people really well and
now
decent.
That's very important. Awards. You're offering awards.
Yeah, so we do awards every year. So next year's award will be best influencer. That doesn't mean you have to be an Instagram person. That means the person that's influenced people to feel good about themselves. We have best in high street. We have best in, I can't think off the top of my head. There's about 5 awards. So if you follow the page Islands Got Curves on Facebook or islandsgotcurves.com, I'm scared to refer people to Facebook because I just don't know anymore. All of that will come up. And yeah, it's a great way of recognizing people that do the right thing, because the awards was inspired by, I'd just flown back from London. I'd been on the catwalk and I'd lost some weight, and as I said, I'd done the triathlon and everything else, and I was in an airport shop and I walked in and the young sales rep there looked me up and down and she just said, "Oh, we have nothing here for you," before I'd even opened my mouth.
Oh my God.
And I went from hero to zero. I actually went to the bathrooms before I got on the plane and just cried my eyes out in the cubicle.
Oh my God.
And I just said, why did I let someone knock me like that? Do you know? And that person, she didn't own the business. Obviously, she didn't own that business. So what I did was I wanted to recognize people that treat people the right way. And I don't pick the person, it's open and people email in the nominations and then there's a voting thing. And yeah, it's just a nice way of thanking people for being decent, you know.
So they can actually contact you and put themselves forward.
Yeah, they can do, but generally, normally the clients do, but they can put themselves forward as well. Yeah, and then they'll get a little badge thing given to them that they can put on social media to let their customers know to vote for them. And yeah, it gets quite busy, but it's wonderful. And Kilkenny have been bringing home an award since we began every year. I think Lily Rose Boutique there in Kilkenny always gets so many, but it's open to absolutely everyone.
I'm just, as you're speaking, I just showed your Facebook page there, and this is your Instagram.
Oh, for the Self-Love Club.
Yeah, for Self-Love.
Strange seeing myself.
You run these so well, but how do you then keep the balance there? Because just bearing in mind what you've been explaining to us, which is, you know, having to focus on taking care of yourself, of course. Social media, I don't know about you, but I do still find just even trying to operate 3 sites, which I do want to keep control of personally, it's so time consuming. And can be very hard on the eyes, let's face it, and can be you've got to make sure your content is right. And then you've got to think very seriously about whether that content has longevity. And you know, social media does take up a lot of time and it takes a lot of serious consideration. How do you go about managing that? Now you've had to draw the threads together.
Yeah, so I say no a lot. It's something that I never used to do. I used to be a yes man, or whatever you want to say, and say yes to everything. And then I learned by saying yes to things, you're saying no to other things, because technically you can't do both. And I just learned to say no to things that don't serve me, or that I don't want. And when I say don't serve me, I don't mean doesn't make me money or doesn't do this. I mean, I like to help people. I'm a nice, helpful person. But sometimes things don't serve me and I'm only doing it as a chore. And then I'm not given the full amount of time. But as for the social media, okay, boundaries, set your boundaries, set your timer. Often social media takes so long because we end up scrolling and we get lost. So we go to put up one thing and we're just scrolling. Before we know it, 20 minutes has gone. And we're saying it takes us 20 minutes to do a post. It doesn't. It really doesn't. The other thing is my camera out and I snap, just take a picture of things I like. I'm not one that has to be hair, makeup ready. As you can see, I have a mixture of pictures of me just in my civvies and pictures of me done up there. But if I see something, it could be a flower, could be, you know me, sunset, sunrises, I'm mad for them.
Oh, yes.
Anything I see, I take a few pictures. So you might not see that this week, you might not see that this year, but I have a backup folder of things. So on the days that I don't have anything to post, really, I look at the picture and I get inspired, because I know why I've taken it at the time, but I could forget. But I'll look and just be like, oh, that's amazing. And I just come up with a quote or come up with something. Or sometimes if it doesn't, I just say, just took this picture because I liked it. I hope you enjoy it too.
And
So,
that is
yes.
such a good idea, Sharon, because, you know, I remember, I actually, to be honest, I hadn't realized that what had happened to you was quite so serious. I've heard all the subsequent, you know, triumphs and achievements, but I do understand what you're talking about, because 16 years ago, I had something very similar happen where my immune system totally collapsed. My weight dropped to about 7 stone. I had moved from England back to Ireland. A big, big emotional breakup in my life. Changed my job voluntarily because I thought it was the right thing to do. Didn't realize how many hits I was actually receiving, both coming at me involuntarily and the ones that I brought on myself by making decisions that I thought were right, seemed logical, but actually weren't right. And your stamina, when you've had a big physical, mental, and emotional collapse like that, your stamina takes so long to return. And I was looking, even 2 years afterwards, I was looking at people on the Olympics, on the Paralympics, excuse me, who, some of whom had maybe lost a limb a year earlier, and there they are competing. And I'm thinking, I'm 2 years on from this collapse, and I still don't have the stamina to do a full day's work. And yet they are competing after having lost a limb, you know, and you feel guilty. And the thing is, you're all about getting from here to somewhere in the future, but you don't want to travel the journey. And you've got to travel that journey because everybody's different, and your stamina will come back for you maybe in 2 years' time, for another person in 6 months or a year. But learning to let go and learning to just take each step at a time is so, so very hard. So to see people like you out there who've done that, you know, there was nobody like that for me to look at back in 2005, 2006.
Yeah. So, I mean, in what you've said, there's a few things. You know, I don't make mistakes. I really don't. I do mistakes. I take things wrong. I miss them the first time and I can take them again. But I don't do mistakes. I don't do regret, because you can only do what you think is right at the time. And if you do not know, you do not know. It's as simple as that. So yes. No regrets, no, you know, learn from them, move on from them, take what you can from them, but don't dwell on them, because it's done. And if you thought it was the wrong thing to do at the time, you would never have done it. So look, forget about that. Yes. But moving on from that, yeah, people develop at different stages, but you have to just stay in your own lane. Yes. You cannot compare yourself to anyone else. Everyone's story, journey is different. And what might sound trivial to someone could be the whole world to someone else. Yes. And time is relative. You have to stay in your own lane. I say, if you do want help and you do feel stuck, that's what I do now when I'm coaching people. I kind of bridge that gap to kind of speed it along a bit more because of my experience. You know, I mean, that's one thing that I undervalued for a long time. But if you think about it, I mean, I can't tell you my whole life story here now because it would take forever. But I've been through some serious, serious stuff. I've been homeless with 2 children, sleeping in a car. I've been, I can't even put my finger on the list of stuff, okay? I've been through some stuff, put myself in stuff and was put in stuff, right? But I've come out and I'm a much better person for it. So what I do now is, you know, you could feel like you're going into a hole, into a dip if you feel that way. Things that I've done and learned and ways that I can teach you how to cope with things and learn and grow, kind of bridge that gap. So maybe you don't have to go in and climb out. Maybe you do, but maybe I can help you just paddle along the top of the hole, you know, and kind of
So
move on.
just talk to us about the coaching side of the business if you can, because I mean, I know there'll be people watching this saying, oh my God, I had no idea she had that kind of depth. You certainly look as though you've depth, but you know, there'll be people who thought, oh, it's all social media. They'll have looked at the superficial and they won't necessarily understand the value of the coaching. So where does the coaching lie in the business?
So the coaching for me is one-to-one online at the moment still. And the reason, like, so again, so many business advisors and mentors have said to me, don't do one-to-one coaching, you know, make courses and evergreen content and let people dip into them and let them. But no, I want to help people. And I know I might be helping less people because my time, but I want to help people. So I look at people, it's, you know, it's mindset. It is all mindset work, because without having your story right, your mindset right, without you telling yourself, look, no one's ever going to abuse you verbally the way you abuse yourself. When you look in that mirror, when you talk about yourself, when you doubt yourself, if your friends talk to you the way that you talk to yourself half the time, they wouldn't be your friends. You just wouldn't put up with them. Yet we think it's okay to do it to ourselves, right? So it's all about changing languages, changing focus, changing energies. You know, in a way, I thought things like this was foo-foo, but I can swear you need it. You really need it.
Yeah.
Not
just,
you want it, you
can I
need
interrupt
it.
you just for a second? On which website is the coaching specifically? Is it the Curves website?
It's on SharonD.com.
Okay, we'll just bring that up
sorry
now.
about that. Yeah, SharonD.com. So that's where most of my stuff is. The Curves is its own website. Sharon D is me, so my work. So there you'd be able to see my blog as well, that I would help people along with by blogging. I haven't myself done it as regularly as I should have the last few weeks, but again, that is me practicing what I preach and taking care of myself, you know, and
so there it is there up at the top, workshops and coaching. Just take it in there. Lovely. So if you go into her other website, which is SharonD.com, that's where you will find the link to her coaching page.
Yeah. And there you can see, if you go down and see the scheduled time with me, you can just book yourselves in. And
excellent.
That's how that works. And you can book yourself in for, as we call the discovery call, the 15 minutes. It's not 15 minutes of sales. Look, it's 15 minutes to have a chat and see what we can do for you, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, feel free to use that. And if you need me to come work, talk on your platform, if you think I can add value to your own platforms or anything like that, give me a call, give me a shout, and we can chat about that.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. And there, I really would encourage people to do that. Please have a look, particularly at this coaching page, because just talking to you now, you've got it. You know, you've got the experience, you've got the language to reach people. And I think that's super important too, because lots of people don't. To find someone who has the total package, who actually really wants to do the work, wants to help people, has the experience, has also achieved so much since they've had this situation in their lives where they were grounded again, brought down to earth, and had to learn how to become grounded. It's super important to find the right people, and Sharon is one of those. So have a look at, so it's SharonD.com that you will find this on, folks.
Yeah. And even if you just log on there and have a read of the blog, you know, I'm going to try and get back to weekly if I can, but if I don't, it's because I need some me time and I need to rest, and I haven't been able to do that. So
that's a very good point, actually. A lot of people, particularly at the beginning of the pandemic, they were trying to put up something every week, but really, I think I notice a lot of people have pulled back to kind of bi-monthly or monthly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing that, you know, in business, you're told you have to be consistent, you have to deliver, you have to do this, you have to do that. With me, I have to be me. And if you miss my blog and you feel like you could have done with a chat or listening to my voice, message me. Let's do something. Do you know, I'm not like this person that has a calendar that's full of things and you won't get booked in with me for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm very ordinary. I'm a very approachable, normal person that has just been through a lot of stuff that might help you not have to go through it. Do you know? That's basically it.
And you know now what your life's purpose is. And we
Oh,
all have one.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, like, at first it was like a new religion. It was like everyone should practice self-love, everyone should do this. But it's amazing how it turns around your life. Like, people say to me, a question that I get a lot of the time, and I mean, I'm smiling, but not because I think it's a cute question, not because I think it's like, you know, not patronizing anyone, but when someone asks me, how much time a week should I spend on self-love? I'm just like,
I know what you mean.
I'm just like, that's so adorable, because it should be lifestyle. It should be lifestyle, you know, and self-love, love of others, self-care, care of others. You know, if you haven't got something, if you can't care for yourself, you can't care for other people. You could for a short time, but you wouldn't be giving them A, 100%, and B, it won't last. You'll burn out.
So it's pulling back from extremes, isn't it?
You know, I was a woman of extremes for many, many, many years. Yeah, absolutely. That was one of my big problems. And I still kind of am. And the other thing is to get over yourself, get over the fear. The fear of what? The fear of neighbors seeing me fail. You know, I love failing. I absolutely love failing. And I learn so much from failing. If I had just set up SharonD.com without all my failures in life, it would be rubbish. There would be no substance to it. I've learned and grown and developed from all my failures. So, I mean, failing's great, but people have fear. People have a big fear. What if this and what if that? And, you know, it holds them back so much.
It does, yeah.
But what's the worst that can happen? Like,
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, you like, you've got two websites, but they are two very important websites. I found myself with the same situation. I had MiriamO'Gara.com and I had the Keltress, because I sing as the Keltress. But I didn't want to let go of the Keltress, even though right now the interviewing has become the main thing that I'm doing, and the writing. But I cannot let go. I'm a born singer. I can't forget that. I know at some point my voice will go, but you find your voice in other ways.
absolutely. And there's no harm having a sister account. You know,
Absolutely no harm at all.
I find them sister accounts. Now, you don't need a whole family. You know,
No.
maybe a relation, one relation's enough. But you know, it's no harm. You know, we're unique people, humans, and wouldn't it be so sad? Like, I do often think of my grandfather. Okay, so my grandfather in Trinidad, where my mum's from, he left school and he got a job in the quarry, and I don't know whether it was to do with he was like of a religion that got an upmanship in it or whatever, but he was quarry manager very early on, and he sat at that desk his whole life until he retired. And after he retired, the man that sat at the desk after him was my uncle, who then sat in that desk his whole life until he retired. And maybe that's for some people, but if it's not for you, geez, your life will be miserable. You just will not be able to cope. And I couldn't cope with the same desk job all my life. And I admire people that can.
Yes.
But I'm too flighty for that, you know, so I have to meet my needs. Otherwise, I'm not a happy person. Otherwise, I can't give as much to you because I haven't got it in me to give, because I'm not fulfilled.
And as you say, you draw the right people to you. I know, for many years, particularly in my 20s and 30s, I know I was quite solitary, and I didn't realize the extent to which I was until I look back on it now. I didn't find an awful lot of women who were like-minded. I don't know whether that has to do with perhaps younger women being guarded or being involved in different things. But now in my 50s, I'm actually re-meeting a lot of those women, and we're all in the same place now.
You know, age is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, for me as well, it was like the older, when I got maybe 45 or so, it was like a bucket of confidence just came into my life. And it's like I just filled up all the crap, all the BS, and sent that back in that same bucket. I don't know. It's amazing. Like, I mean, for me personally, like, when people don't think I'm a grandmother, I have 4 grandchildren. And when
really, you look about 38.
Thank you. But really, when I'm down the street with them, I think half the people think they're my kids. Do you know what I mean? And whatever. But I just think it's people judge you when they hear your age. They judge you when you have children. Like, if I said to somebody, I never used to tell people, when I was doing makeup and hair and stuff, and I'd be on the road and to brides and that, I never advertised that I had children, because you know straight away they're going to think, oh God, one of her kids could be sick and she won't turn up. As it turns out, I missed one day. I was actually having a miscarriage in the hospital. I really couldn't help that. I missed one day. But the rest of the time, my other 7 children had nothing to do with me ever missing a day of work in my life, do you know? Yeah. But people judge you at that. People assume things. And that's another part of your self-love, is not to make up assumptions. Don't assume things about people, because that leads to disappointment big time. Yes. There's lots of things, you know, during coaching that we discuss and things. And you think, like, why did I think that way before? That makes sense, you know.
Sometimes you're in the middle of a coaching session and you will have a eureka moment like that. It's very, very good. What, just before we draw to an end, what I asked when we were off air, if you could get together 3 pieces of advice for people. They can be at a business or a personal level. I'm sure with you, they'll probably be both, but what would you offer people now on this interview now as advice, the thing you would like them to keep to the forefront of their minds the most right now?
Well, my favorite quotes you already said, so I'll go back there and just say, you don't have to fit in when you were born to stand out. And don't be scared of standing out. Be true to yourself. I stand out. Look, I'm dark. I live in Ireland. I'm 6 foot tall. You know, I've always stood out all my life, but I've always tried to fit in, and it did not work. Yeah. It was damaging. Yeah. So I know I'm outstanding. Look at my t-shirt there, outstandingly made. It's yes. a big, bold statement, but it is my true self, you know. And I'm not big-headed. I'm not arrogant. Talking to me, you know that I'm not cocky and full of it. But I do realise I'm here to outstand, you know, for a purpose, you know. So yes. I think don't try and fit in. Be yourself, you know. The other thing, another quote, I think all my quotes come from like Disney or something, or kids' cartoons, I think. But the other thing is, do you ever see that cartoon where they've a bird on a branch? It says, it's going to fly, you know, and it says, but Mama, what if I fall? And she said, but what if you fly? And I think that's great. That's, you know, thinking outside the box, doing things outside the box, pushing yourself makes you grow. Whether you fail and grow or you just grow and blossom, either way you're going to grow. Just quick story, another story. I'm a member of Toastmasters. And one of the speeches, like, you know, they come in sections of what kind of speaking you want to do. So I'm working through motivational speeches. But the last section that I put on the back burner was humorous speeches, because I never thought of myself as funny, as humorous or anything. I just didn't want to go there. And lo and behold, a competition came up for humorous speaker. And in my club, they were like, would you do it? And I'm like, not a notion, like, I'm not a bit funny, you know. And on the day itself, I said, do you know what? I've got to stop BSing everyone and telling them, do stuff out of your box, and you're not going to do it. So I said, I'm going to do it. I just had an itch that I had to scratch. And I won at club level. So then the next competition
that was only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And then the next competition was area. And I placed second, which means that I'm through to, I don't know, is it districts or divisions or whatever it's called? I'm through to next level. This from somebody that was scared of failing, scared of putting myself out there to be humorous.
Yes.
But I think it was also, I'm going to sound really quirky here and say the universe or whatever, telling me I needed to, at that point, to lighten up and find a bit of humor, because
Yes.
I'd gone very serious. I'd gone very much like trying to fix people with self-love because it fixed me and because of the great things it done for me, that I think I got a bit serious about that. Whereas now I know, lighten up, like the way I'm talking to you is not a bit cool, or not a bit, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, I have to say, over the years, I have noticed that it is sometimes quite difficult for Irish people to do it. And it was really, I was 18 years away. I had to learn, how to lighten up and not get too serious. But I totally agree with you. Now, Sharon, just before we go, you are also a member of the Women's Inspire Network, which it was founded and is run by the tweeting goddess Samantha Kelly. How long have you been a member now?
Oh my goodness. I joined when it was in Donegal. I'm thinking 2017, 18. I can't remember. Feels like I've been a member all my life, to be honest with you, because it's been such a welcoming group. And I do think that anybody that's working on their own as a solopreneur or, you know, sole trader, whatever, you do need support. You know, it's a very lonely place to be, because in other jobs you have work colleagues and you have these things, and maybe you're employing people, but you kind of feel a bit on your own. So I find networking amazing. And yeah, what do I get out of it?
One of the good ones. This show on a Monday is powered by the Women's Inspire Network, but it really is one of the good ones out there. A lot of people, I think, are still a bit nervous about networks on social media because they tend to see them as strictly, you know, touting wares. But this is so much more. There are networks out there that are more. And it's top down led. It's an insistence that the person who's founded it, you know, wants it that way. And definitely Sam does. I mean, I have to say, I have been utterly amazed, and I've learned so much from people like you. I've learned so much on programs like this, just speaking to you. And you feed off that for weeks.
Yeah, you really do. And I mean, when it comes to network, you're right. A lot of the, maybe, you know, it's a bit advertising or whatever, but really with networks, you get in what you put out, you know, you get out what you put in as well. So if you're there to help people, you'll find people there to help you as well. And I think, yeah, you're right. It's led from the start. One tip with networking that I've heard, and I'm not talking about online, I'm talking about when we meet up again. I can't wait for it. I miss meeting up in the WIN network. You know, it used to be annually. I've missed that so much. One thing I've learned recently from it is I'm a talker. You can see that, right? But now I've learned maybe to listen more. And that's why I did Toastmasters, to train myself to listen to other people more. I don't mind admitting it. And it's the people that listen have the most knowledge when it comes to networks. If I'm looking for things, I know who to approach in the group, and they're normally not the loudest person. So that's huge. That's a huge tip. It's often the people that are not, you know, in your face, directly in there or whatever. Like me, I'm in everyone's face at a network meeting, but they're the people that take a stand back, observe the room, learn. They will know who everyone is.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
They're watchers. Yeah, they're watchers. Yeah, you get a lot of that on LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
People watching. Oh, listen, it's been an absolute joy to talk to you. Absolute joy. You're so full of goodwill and joy and great advice. People, get on board. Have a look at both websites. So you will find her coaching page on SharonD.com. And I would really encourage people to get on board there. Have a good session. Have a good session. Have that courtesy call and see what she can do for you. Absolutely wonderful advice. You're a star. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. Everybody, we'll see you next Monday with another great Women's Inspire Network member. Talk to you then. And don't forget, check out her On the Plus Side podcast, YouTube. Really important.